What is the discounting model of net present value? Well, net present value is simply the present value of future payments or money that will be received in the future. The idea is this: over time, money becomes less valuable for a number of reasons. Also, if you had received money, the same amount of money that you'll receive in the future now, you would have alternatives to do with it to make money. So if you're going to receive money in the future, at points and times in the future, you need to understand what that money is worth in today's value as if you were to receive it now. And there's a simple way of doing that. To understand that money received 1 year from now, for example, is actually the present value of that is this, and it's based upon a discount factor. The way we do it is simply this: we identify the future cash flow, we divide that cash flow by a discount factor, and that tells us what the present value of that cash flow is. And if you have multiple periods of time, you can do that for each cash flow during those periods and bring it back and understand it as what is the present value or net present value. So here's the formula that applies in this situation. Net present value equals cash flow, and the N, the C is the cash flow, and the N is the time period, okay? That collectively, the summation of those divided by the discount factor, which is the interest rate that you're applying. So if you say that money will be worth 5% less next year than it is this year, okay, you would say, well, 1 plus 0.05, right? And then you'd raise that to the power of whatever period it is, the first period, the second period. The reason you'd raise it to that power, 1 year from now, it would just be, the cash flow divided by 1 plus the interest rate. Over 2 periods, though, what you've identified is the change in value, or the percentage change in value for each consecutive cash flow period, right? So in this formula, you can see, right? The first cash flow is present value. The cash flow 1 year from now, C1, that cash flow will need to be divided by the discount rate for that 1 period. Okay, it's raised to the 1, so it's 1 plus, in our scenario, 1.05%. You divide that and add it to, that brings it back to present value. Now you have a future cash flow number, in this case C2, which would be 2 years later, but it's your actual third cash flow. You would divide that by your discount rate raised to the second power. And what that is, that recognizes that the compounding that you need to do, that basically the 5% needs to be compounded over 2 periods. You can't simply add them together and say 5% plus 5% is 10%, because once again, the compounding factor doesn't work that way. That's the topic for another discussion, but just to understand that this is how it works, you add up the value of these future discounted cash flows, and that brings it back to an understanding of what is your present value, your NPV, net present value.